based off of numbers alone, you might think that Royal Caribbean won this category. However, if you hear what I'm about to tell you, you might think otherwise. Hey, y'all, hey. So we are back, and today we are going to be talking about a hot topic that a lot of cruise lovers have been discussing, and that is Royal Caribbean or Carnival. Which one is the best? We're going to go over these 12 topics, and by the end, you should know which one is the best cruise line for you. Also, for those of you who do not want to watch the entire video, which I understand not everybody has the patience, not everybody has the time, you can just jump to the timestamp below in the description box where each topic will begin. Let's get started. Okay, so let's get started with a brief overview of each cruise line. So those of you who are avid cruisers might already know this, but those of you who are new to cruising, or if you're a new travel agent, you might not know. So Royal Caribbean is known for their innovation and really like unique ideas. And so they have the Flow Rider Simulator. They have the Bionic Bar, which is a fully robotic bar. It's not operated by humans. So that's pretty unique. They also have the virtual balconies. It's an interior room, but it has a virtual balcony, so it makes you feel like you're still getting that experience at a much lower price point. They also have the largest water park at sea. So like they're going to have those first and like those big things that no other cruise line has. Versus Carnival, they're known for fun ships. They're known for party like vibe. And so if that's what you're looking for, Carnival is probably your way to go. Carnival also offers some very unique things to them. So they have the Build-A-Bear workshop at sea, where your kids can have their own Build-A-Bear experience on a cruise ship. They also have the Dr. Seuss brunch and experience. The Dr. Seuss themed kid clubs are really cool. My son had a great time there. And they also have the Punchliner Comedy Club. Their comedy shows are top tier. We were able to go to a couple of shows on our previous vacation, and the comedians were hilarious. Like they were good. I would probably pay to see them. So that's a brief overview of each, Royal and Carnival. Oh, disclaimer, because I forgot to say this in the very beginning. I'm going to try to make this as unbiased as possible. However, I am a human, so there's going to be some opinion mixed in here. And I'm also going to give you some more information about me as a traveler and what I like and dislike so that you can know, like, hey, I'm similar to Bridget in this way, and so I would probably like this as well. Or I don't really care that much about food like Bridget does, so that doesn't really matter. So again, yeah, you're just gonna find that out throughout the video. I'm gonna let you know, like, okay, this is pretty much my opinion versus a fact. Okay, so let's get into more of the nitty gritty details and what you guys really came here for. So let's start with itineraries and destinations. So both of these cruise lines offer a diverse range of destinations. However, they do differ. So Royal Caribbean has more options globally. They also have the private destinations of Labadee, Haiti, and also my favorite and a lot of people's favorite, Coco Cay, which is in the Bahamas. And Carnival is more primarily Caribbean and Mexico based. They do have a few sailings in Australia and Europe, but there's not as many as Royal. But depending on what you like, if you're like a Caribbean gal or you know you love Mexico, then that's not going to be an issue for you. However, if you're looking to go to maybe Alaska, Hawaii, the Mediterranean, Royal is going to have more options. And I know I touched on this before a little bit, but Royal Caribbean has the edge here in this category strictly because of Coco Cay. If y'all have been to Coco Cay, like you know what I'm saying, but that destination, that private destination is perfection. So as far as this category, my winner is going to have to be Royal Caribbean all the way through. So Royal Caribbean has multiple neighborhoods like Central Park, the Boardwalk, Central Promenade, and there's also Surfside, which is a neighborhood dedicated to families with younger children. And you can do all the things in like the same area. You can eat, drink, play. Like there's a little like mini water park area for them, for the kids. It's a really cool area. Oh, this was one of my favorite things. I mentioned this in a prior video as well, but they also have Broadway at Sea productions. So I saw Grease on my first ever cruise, which was with Royal Caribbean. Again, I would pay for that show. Like if I had to pay extra for it, I would have paid for it because it was that good. It really is like a Broadway production. And they also have Mamma Mia. There's another show I'm forgetting, but these are really like high level production shows. They also have the Aqua Theater, which is cool water performances. They also have ice skating performances, bumper cars. There's so much. There's so much. Oh, also on my very first cruise ever, I had seen vlogs and stuff of like the pool competitions, but seeing it in person, like the belly flop competition on Royal Caribbean was the best and most hilarious thing I've ever seen in life. Hopefully I can find a clip from that, but yeah. I know that they say Carnival is the fun ship, but I had a blast. So again, it's just like what is fun for you, you know? So hopefully this video will help you decide. Okay, next we're gonna talk about Carnival and their onboard experience. Carnival, because it is a fun ship, they have a lot of entertainment options. They have live music in different venues. They have, like I said before, comedy shows. They also have very lively sail away parties and deck parties. They have an edge over Royal in this way. The cruise directors on Carnival are amazing. You get to see them pretty often. I saw the cruise director on Carnival multiple times a day. The cruise directors on Carnival are very personable, very funny, and just, they keep the party going. So, kudos to Carnival. That's some good hiring there. Royal Caribbean definitely offers more pricier cruises. However, they also offer a wider range of activities and entertainment, and they also just have more amenities. For some people, that justifies the cost. And if you're willing to pay for that more premium experience, then there you have it. Now, Carnival is generally more budget friendly than Royal Caribbean, so it's often a best choice for families, large families, I should say, and first time cruisers, and also those who are just looking for a good value. And speaking of that, Carnival was actually voted best value by cruise critics. Okay, so now let's talk about their target audience. Royal Caribbean is definitely those looking for more adventure, looking to do more activities. So if you are someone who likes to be active and may like a jam-packed itinerary and things to do, Royal Caribbean may be that line for you. Versus Carnival, they are more of a casual atmosphere, although if you want to pack your itinerary with things to do, you can still do that on Carnival. I actually think that's what happened to us on our last cruise, and it felt like we were doing all the things. And so I think you would be entertained on both cruise lines. Ultimately, it's just how active you want to be. If you want to be at a comedy club having fun, or if you want to be on a flow rider, or in bumper cars, or rock climbing, like just different strokes for different folks. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite topic, and that's food. So, again, this is going to be one of those objective categories. It's hard to say, like, oh, this is the best because everybody likes different things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I prefer. So, I'm not that picky. However, I do tend to go more towards like Asian fairs. So, I love all Asian cuisine. I love Korean. I love Japanese. I love Chinese food. I love Indian food, which is technically Asian. I love all the things, okay? And seafood. I love seafood. Anyways, that's kind of like my jam. So, with that being said, let's jump into what they offer and my takes on it. So, both cruise lines offer buffets. So, Royal Caribbean's is called the Windjammer. And like India Ari said, don't be offended. This is all my opinion. So you can differ with me, okay? You do not have to agree. However, Royal Caribbean's buffet was a lot better to me than Carnival's by far. So, as far as like diversity of food options, Royal Caribbean wins all the way. They just had so many different offerings. They had burger station, they had Indian food, they had seafood, they had a salad bar, they had like all the things. And I know that Carnival offers some of that. However, it was just on a smaller scale. And for some people, like that's all they need. They don't need all the options. They just need something quick and easy to grab and eat. And that's okay. But as far as having like a diversity of options at the buffet, that's going to go Royal Caribbean all the way. They win that one. And for breakfast too, the avocado toast that I had from the Windjammer, it was, yeah, it was so good. It was so simple too. It was just avocado, pickled red onion, some tomato, and some balsamic glaze. but it was so good. And I'm not an avocado toast girly. Like I could take it or leave it, but with Royal, it was good. Ooh, and the cookies that were at the Windjammer, I found them also at the cafe. Now those I would pack up in a Ziploc baggie and like take back to our room. Those were so good. Like I was fiending for them, and I do love sweets. Like that's also my zhuzh. If you don't care about sweets that much, then whatever. And I also have to mention Sorrento's. So Sorrento's is like their pizzeria, and I don't even love pizza like that. I know. Like, girl, you're American, you don't love pizza, but like, it's my mom's fault. She had a lot of pizza with me while she was pregnant, I guess, and like, I don't know, it's not my favorite carb. Like, I would rather eat a sandwich or just something else. Anyways, but Sorrento's was very good, and I got their roasted vegetables. So good. Like I would go there just for the vegetables. I know that's weird probably to some people too, but Sorrento's vegetables, don't sleep on it. Okay, so now on to Carnival. Carnival is not too shabby either. I know that I said that Royal had a better buffet, in my opinion. However, as far as like casual dining and poolside offerings go, I'm gonna have to give that to Carnival. They have Guy's Burger Joint by the pool. So good. The fries were seasoned very well. The burger was fresh. There's no complaints. Like Guy's Burgers is not overhyped. It is good. As well as Blue Iguana Cantina. It's kind of like their SoCal Mexican spot, but they had some really good and fresh Mexican options. Breakfast burritos and tacos, like those were really cool. So, with that being said, I would probably choose those offerings versus going to the buffet. I just think that you get a better value. Okay, so now let's get into the main dining room. Both Carnival and Royal Caribbean have a main dining room where a lot of people choose to eat dinner because it's included in their fare. They don't have to pay extra for it. This is kind of hard for me to choose a winner. If I had to choose a winner, I'm going to have to go with Royal only because I think that their offerings were more to my liking. Like they had more Asian offerings and seafood offerings on their menu versus Carnival had more like comfort food items. Don't get me wrong, they still had like a few shrimp cocktail appetizers and like the lobster tail on lobster night, but overall I'm gonna have to give it to Royal. Okay, next, I can't really do a like apples to apples comparison, but I do want to give a shout out to Carnival with their afternoon tea. That tea is included in the price, and it was so good. And this is where Royal gets like a negative point for me, is that they don't offer an afternoon tea, and I love a good high tea, so that sucks. Oh, but I will say that Royal does have like a snack time, afternoon snack time thing where you can get like scones and things. However, it's not like a traditional afternoon tea service where somebody's like coming to you and serving you or whatever. You just kind of have to like self-serve, and you can go get a tea, but it's not the same. Okay, so next topic, we're going to compare the space of each cruise line. Kind of hard to do because we're not going to go like ship versus ship. We're just going to do cruise line versus cruise line. But in general, Royal Caribbean does have on average more space with their ships. I did feel the difference when we sailed on Carnival Celebration, which is one of their bigger ships. It did feel a little bit more cramped, but it's not like a significant difference. However, Royal does give more of a spacious feel, and I don't know if that's also due to their layout, but Royal Caribbean wins. Next, we're going to talk about aesthetics and vibes. So, for me, I was that weird kid back when I was like 15 talking about what's the ambiance of a place before we go eat dinner. And my friends would be like, girl, I don't know. Like, what do you mean the ambiance? But for me, like, the vibe matters. So, as far as Royal Caribbean, they're more of like a modern, sleek, contemporary feel with art installations like throughout the ship. And Carnival is more of like a fun, like bright, bold colors type of vibe. And again, this is a matter of personal preference, which you prefer. I think y'all might be able to tell what my vibe is and what I prefer, but I'm not going to say. because I want this to be as unbiased as possible. So again, it just matters for you, like what is your vibe? And are you willing to choose a vacation based solely off of that? Probably not, but it might be a factor to consider. Oh, with that being said, I will say though that Carnival does have like moments of that upscale contemporary feel, just depending on the ship that you go to. Like their lounges that they have more of that vibe, more adult, more like grown and sexy kind of vibe. I have to say, what's the I forgot what it's called, but when you like sandwich something, you got to say something good, then bad, then good. You sandwich it. I do have to say this about Carnival, and I don't know if it's just this one particular ship, Carnival Celebration. We went on a year after its first sailing, and even still, the elevators were breaking down, and they just took an abnormally long time to get there. I know on a cruise ship, they say to take the stairs if possible. For this sailing, it was not possible every time for us because we were going with our 2 year old. And so we had the stroller a lot because he would take his naps in the stroller. So it's impossible to do stairs with a stroller. And because of that, we were waiting sometimes like 10 minutes, or we would just like take the up elevator, even though we were going down, just because it was like an empty elevator. But yeah, they had maintenance fixing the elevator at least 3 times. We went on a 7-day sailing. So yeah, I don't know if that was like abnormal. That was my only Carnival experience. So I can't tell you if that's typical of them or not. If you are an avid Carnival person, let me know in the comments below. But that was weird to me. I don't know if that was a design issue or just a maintenance issue. I don't know. Okay, so briefly, we're going to talk about the Kids Club. So, both Royal Caribbean and Carnival offer a Kids Club, which is a place where the little kiddies can go. The parents can drop them off to have fun, learn some things, play with friends, and just have a great vacation. Royal Caribbean's is called Adventure Ocean, and Carnival's is called Camp Ocean. And I think I touched on this briefly before. Carnival's has like a Dr. Seuss themed area, which is really, really cool. They had like all the Dr. Seuss books, and they had this cool, like, I don't even know what it is, like a tumbling like station area in the Dr. Seuss colors. It was just very well thought out for kids. Royal Caribbean, I have not used their kids club yet, so I cannot speak to them personally. However, I do know that for Adventure Ocean with Royal Caribbean, you do have to be 3 years up, 3 years old and older. 3 years old and older? You know what I'm trying to say. Royal Caribbean, the child has to be at least 3 years old. However, with Carnival, your child can be 2 years old and you're able to drop them off and come back and get them. Both Royal Caribbean and Carnival assign a pager or a phone to you so that if your child is crying or upset or whatever the issue may be, they will call that phone or pager and let you know, like, hey, you should probably come back. Not probably. You need to come back and get your kid, or your kid needs to change of clothes, whatever the case may be. So that's really cool. As far as staffing, Royal Caribbean requires a 4-year degree for all of their kids club staff. And for Carnival, it's recommended but not required. So if that matters to you, then there's that. And if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. As far as me and my husband's personal experience with the Carnival kids staff, they were amazing. Like, truly amazing. Our son had freshly turned 2 years old when we went on the cruise. And so he also hadn't started daycare yet. And we were really nervous about like leaving him, dropping him off. So we didn't drop him off for a long time, like a couple hours. He was okay the first day. And then like as time went on, like he would be like, no, I don't want to leave. And he would have separation anxiety. And they would call us and let us know, like maybe after 30 minutes, like, hey, he's not calming down. Like, you might want to come get him. Even with that, they were really patient. They were really kind. They were great. Next, I'm going to briefly talk about room categories. For this category, Royal Caribbean wins as far as the number of different cabin offerings. They have more cabin categories than Carnival. They also offer the virtual balconies that I mentioned earlier, which is an amazing, innovative idea for inside staterooms who might be on a tighter budget or maybe just don't want a regular balcony. you can still get that feeling of a balcony without it being that in that price point. And as far as Carnival's unique cabin categories, they do offer the Cove balcony, which is a balcony that's closer to the water. And so for some people, that's a really cool vibe for them. If you want me to go more in depth in another video, I can do that as well. Just let me know in the comments. But other than that, let's move on to the next. This next topic is going to be for people like me who are health conscious. I am a pharmacist by trade, and so that's super important. Health is super important to me. And so for people like me, this one is for you. This one is kind of hard to determine a winner. And I'm going to say that because I like facts, like numbers, things like that. That matters to me. And so, as far as health and sanitation, I went on the CDC's website, which is the Center for Disease Control, to help me determine a winner in this category. But it's still kind of inconclusive because you'll see why shortly. The CDC offers a vessel sanitation program, and so they monitor and do frequent reporting and checks on cruise ships because cruise ships, quite frankly, known to be little petri dishes. You have a lot of people in a small area, and so by nature, that just gives germs, bacteria, time and opportunity to thrive. Let's start with Carnival. Ran the reporting on Carnival in their most recent sailings, and so their average score was 93.125, which is very good. That's an A. 93% is an A. So good job, Carnival. And as far as Royal, their score was 96.55. And if you just go based off of numbers alone, you might think that Royal Caribbean won this category. However, if you hear what I'm about to tell you, you might think otherwise. I also took a look at the most recent outbreaks. So, as far as 2024 outbreaks go, Carnival has not had any. However, Royal Caribbean has had two outbreaks, one on Allure of the Seas in May and one on Radiance of the Seas in April. The way that the CDC determines what an outbreak is, there has to be 3% or more of the passengers or crew to report symptoms of illness to the medical staff. I don't know who's the winner, guys. As far as the reporting and the audits go, Royal got 96 point, what is it? 96.55. However, outbreaks, Royal's losing. So I just think that you need to be cautious on any cruise that you go on, whether it's Royal, Carnival, or a luxury ship. Again, you're going to have more people in a smaller space. And so that just gives ample opportunity for bacteria to breed, and not just bacteria, viruses to breed. So, wash your hands. Have hand sanitizer. Speaking of washing your hands, I will, however, say, and this might be an opinion based thing, but from my recollection, I feel like Royal Caribbean had more hand washing stations, or their staff just encouraged more hand washing. I do remember, like, outside of the buffet, the staff was singing the little, jingle like washy washy, da da da. And I do not recall that on Carnival. I do remember them having like hand sanitizer in hand washing stations. I do recall Royal Caribbean being more encouraging as far as hand washing goes. Okay, this next section is dedicated to technology. We're going to talk about their apps. Both cruise lines have apps for their customers or clients to use, and there's not a clear winner. I think that both Carnival and Royal Caribbean have great apps, especially in comparison to Virgin. If y'all seen my other video about my Virgin experience, you already know how I feel about Virgin's app. So there's that. Okay, anyways, this video is not about Virgin. So on to the last topic. This one is kind of like a special one, and I want to give all the kudos to Carnival. They win on this. So if you haven't cruised before, you may or may not know that you cannot take steamers or irons. So you have to rely on the cruise line's amenities for this one. So for Royal Caribbean, they do not offer any steam rooms or ironing rooms. You have to send them out to laundry. You do have to pay an additional fee for that, on average about $20. So that's just something to consider. You do have the option of like the Downy wrinkle release and a steamy shower to help you in like rolling clothes. However, like there's just some things that you need an iron for. And I want to give kudos again to Carnival for this. They do offer ironing rooms that you can use complimentary. You do not have to pay extra for. So Carnival wins for this one. Okay, so which cruise line is best for you? You know, that's gonna have to be your decision. Use all the information to make a well-rounded decision. If you still are hesitant or not sure, you can always work with a travel agent and they can guide you in the best direction. But in general, if you are more adventurous and you love unique experiences, Royal Caribbean might be that cruise line for you. Also, if you are a foodie, although both have good food, you know, it's just about taste preferences. But if you're looking for more of a budget-friendly option with a fun atmosphere, Carnival might be that one for you. The best cruise line ultimately depends on what type of vacation you want. Again, if you are a cruiser or if you've been on either one of these cruise lines, let me know in the comments below what you agree or disagree with, respectfully, because if you're not respectful, I will block you. And give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for supporting and watching this video, and I will see you next week.